Failure is part of the process. You just learn to pick yourself back up. Michelle Obama. And nobody argues with Michelle Obama. Hey folks, this is Casey and I am one mellow Marigold. And I hate to break it to you, but there is no perfect garden. No amount of book reading or YouTube video watching is going to guarantee you a 100% successful garden. It's just not going to happen. In this video, I'm going to ask you to set aside your goals for gardening glory. We're going to talk about lowering your expectations. We're going to talk about planting more than you need. We're going to talk about exploring light and location. And we're going to talk about finding alternative sources for your food and medicine so that if everything takes a big digger, you've got a backup. I think you're going to like it. Okay, let's go. First and foremost, let's lower those expectations. This is a life lesson, honestly, not just a garden lesson. And you can ask Mama Marigold just how many times she's tried to teach me that lesson over the 40 plus years. Anyway, now you don't want to go so low that you accidentally end up voting for a convicted felon for president, right? That's too low. You have gone too far at that point. But somewhere between that and like, I'm going to have the most amazing garden ever is right where you should be. While there's many facts and figures and studies and books that can teach you all the different aspects of gardening, nothing is one size fits all. The truth is there are a myriad of factors that are going to determine how successful your growing is going to be, including plot size, light availability, watering, soil conditions, deer, disease, and of course, I mean you. Our own personal lifestyle variables will have an effect on our garden one way or the other. Over time, you're going to learn which of those factors you can influence and which ones you can't and just have to work around. And all of that is going to help your odds. But even master gardeners fail all the time. Even master gardeners fail all the time. So give yourself a break. So while it might sound fun to just like jump in and you're going to grow all the tomatoes that you'll need for a year, your first time out, maybe ratchet that expectation down just a little bit and say, I want to grow 15 pounds of tomatoes. And if you end up somewhere in the middle, you're going to be really pleased with yourself. Yeah, okay, let's keep going. Okay, real quick. I did not need a book, for example, on gardening to tell me, do not run over your new seedlings with your car. Yeah. And that, unfortunately, was a lesson I had to learn not once, but twice before I figured it out. I was putting my seedlings out to harden in the driveway because that's where it got the most lovely sun. And then, of course, naturally, I'd forget that I put them in the driveway. Starting over sucks, but it happens. Number 2, plan for more. If you've decided to start tomato seeds for the very first time and you want to end up with 4 really healthy tomato plants, germinate 8 seeds. Germinate 8. You may end up with more healthy seedlings than you actually get, but that way, if a few die off, you're still going to be left with the number you originally planned for. Personally, I really love peppers, but I only need about like a dozen really healthy growing pepper plants to give me everything that I need for the year. But peppers can be finicky to germinate. So I plant a whole flat of pepper seeds just to make sure that I really get that dozen that I actually want. And let's say you just put in a brand new garden bed in your lawn. You really want to grow watermelon. You don't want to start it from seed because you want a certain type. So you're going to go to your nursery. You're going to get 4 watermelon plants. You're only going to put 2 of them in that new garden bed to start with. You're going to see how those sets accept the soil and take off. If they take off great, you pop the other 2 in whenever you're ready. If the first 2 don't make it, that's going to tell you something about your soil that you can maybe fix or adjust, and you still have those backup 2 to pop in later. Okay, just real quick, I'm going to have a little sit-down break because I want to welcome some new Marigold members to the channel. We have got Haddison16, we have got Rendina Johnson, and we have got I Am Root. What a fantastic username. I love it. And I love you guys. Welcome. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. I hope you like the little perks that come along with it. And if you don't, and you stop being a member, that's okay. I love you anyway. I am the worst salesperson ever. Okay, back to the garden. And number 3, do not be afraid to explore light and location. And I recommend this for all gardeners, but especially if you're starting to grow on your property and you've never grown before, but also if you have moved to a new property and you have no idea where the sun path is going to fall yet or what's already growing there. So here's what I mean by that. Whether you're planting in the ground or in containers, plant one thing everywhere. Take onions, for example. Take your onion sets or your onion seeds, however you're doing it, plant an onion everywhere, in every bed all over your yard, all over the property, and let a whole bunch of them just try to grow. And then at the end of the season, you're going to find out which locations on your property are going to give that onion its best chance at success. In addition, you're going to find out what other little garden buddies that onion really likes to grow around. P.S. Onions like to grow everywhere. A couple of examples for me. Last year, I put basil everywhere. I put basil everywhere. And I found that it really loves to grow in the ground near the grapes. And it also really loves to grow in a big container near the tomatoes. But it absolutely hated being over by the blueberries. They stayed like this small. It was just very sad. But I had tons of basil everywhere, and I learned something new. Last fall, I did a little experiment with my fall brassicas. I planted some up on the north side, and I planted some right over in potato land. They grew both places, but they absolutely loved the light they got from the north side versus what they were getting in the fall from potato land. You don't always have to put stuff exactly where the books tell you to put stuff. Just stick stuff in the ground, stick seeds in the ground, stick plants in the ground, and see what happens. Okay, then just real fast, let's appreciate these cutie little chives that are coming up. I love chives. I love chive flowers. I love growing them everywhere. And I love that your hands smell oniony after you touch them. Okay. And number 4, source your food and medicine needs elsewhere. Yeah. Make a backup plan. Have another place that you can get access to whatever it is you're trying to grow, so that just in case that particular thing fails in your garden, you've got another place to get it. If you want to grow a whole bunch of tomatoes so that you've got something to can up tomato sauce for in the fall, and all of your tomatoes get blight and just crumble to the ground, check out farmers markets. Check out a local gardening Facebook group. Check out a farmer CSA in the area. If the goal is truly to grow a lot of tomatoes, you're also going to need to learn what you're going to do with all of those tomatoes when you get them. And so even if all those tomato plants crumble and you have to go get a couple of bushels from the local farmer's market, that's still okay, because you're still going to learn how to break them down, how to process them, how to store them in a way that you like, so that when your tomatoes get really great next year, you're going to be all set. This first grapevine behind me should be Concord grapes. Didn't produce a single grape for me last year. The one behind it did. The Catawba grapes produced. We made grape juice. It was awesome. But the Concord here, nothing. But got my friend John, who's got his own little mini nursery, and I said, hey, where else can I find Concords? And he said, do I have a guy for you? Like, I'm going to send you up the road and you're going to talk to Dan. He's going to just give you some, because he just grows them and he ends up with too much. You bet. And I did. I went and got those grapes from Dan, and I processed those up into juice, and that was amazing too. I learned the process, even though I didn't make the output all by myself. If you know that you can still get your needs met somewhere else, you're going to feel a whole lot less pressure for your garden to perform. And then it's just going to be more enjoyable for you and everybody. The bottom line is that growing a garden is a process. It's just a process. We all can't learn all the things we need to know in one day, one garden season in. At the end of the day, I want you to enjoy the process of learning to grow just as much as you love the actual output of the growing itself. There's so many amazing reasons to garden that have nothing to do with how many green beans you grow in a year. Take care of yourself. Lower your expectations. Enjoy the process. Be present in the dirt. And you're going to love gardening even more. That is it for me today. I love you guys. If you haven't subscribed yet, please go ahead and do so. If you subscribed, go ahead and hit that little bell button, because then it just tells you when I posted something, or turn it off if those are too annoying. I don't judge. But hang out, be my garden buddy. We kind of have a lot of fun here. Thank you so much. I love you, and I'm going to see you on the next one, okay? Bye!